change your life with me, Reverend Lee. Every thought matters. Why? Why would you say that, Lee? Why would you say that every thought matters? Because every thought we have creates a mental atmosphere. That mental atmosphere creates a mold. And from that mold comes our life experience. And so if you've been alive like I have 72 years and averaging about 60,000 thoughts a day, I've had about 1.5 billion thoughts. The sum of those 1.5 billion thoughts creates a mold. The mold creates the life that I'm experiencing right now. It affects me from the standpoint of mentally, emotionally, physically, health, abundance, relationships. So is it important to understand what you think? Yes. Are you always going to be able to think the thoughts you want to think? No, because you're being influenced by people around you. You've been domesticated by your mom and dad, by society, by religions, and all of that. And when you've been domesticated, that means your thoughts are not your own. You're thinking thoughts of someone else. So you know what it's time to do? It's time to rebel. That's right, rebel. Stop thinking the same old thoughts that are not serving you. Rebel against habits that are not serving you. Rebel against trying to please your mom and dad, trying to please religion, trying to please society, trying to please business, and start thinking thoughts about a more expansive life, a life that you choose, that you desire. Let's start off with a thought of, what are your thoughts about relationships? Are they hard? Is it difficult to have a relationship? Because if you've created that mold, if you created a mold that men are selfish, women are selfish, are you creating a mold that men don't listen, women don't listen? I don't care what your mold is, that's going to be your experience. So many people I go, relationships are, and they say hard. I say relationships are easy. Why are relationships easy for me? Because number one, I believe it. And number two, I don't take relationships personally. If you take a relationship personally and what someone does personally, you're setting yourself up for great failure, aren't you? Relationships are easy because if they're easy, you're not trying to control the other person, and the other person is not trying to control you. And that, my beautiful friends, is what love is. Did you just hear? Love doesn't control. Love gives yourself the freedom to be you. It gives others the freedom to be them. This is a big concept right here because it's not how we're brought up. We're brought up, that person's there to please me. If they don't do what I want, forget it. They don't love me. What was it the other day on TikTok? TikTok. This woman goes to the man, we should get a divorce. You don't love me. And he says, what do you mean you don't love me? Well, I asked you for a Range Rover and you said no. And he says, that doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means I'm not buying you a Range Rover. You see, we've identified love with getting things. Oh, think about that. That means you never, ever, ever have enough because you're always trying to get more things because things cannot satisfy the desire that is in you to connect, to really connect with someone. I'm going to tell you something. You may not want to hear it, but you don't connect through things. The thing that I connect with is energy, the experience. And energy desires to be free. And if while we're on energy, think about this, your thought atmosphere, the mold, tunes the frequency of you, which is energy, to a specific vibration. That specific vibration causes you to either attract or repel experience from you. So if you have a mental atmosphere of lack, of not enough, that will show up in every aspect of your life. And where does that stem from? A sense of a lack of self-worth. That's basically the source of all the problems that everyone I know is dealing with. They don't feel worthy. Where did that sense of a lack of worthiness come from? Could be at any number of places. But the fact is, if you don't feel worthy, no one around you is going to think you are. We talk about this over and over and over as we talk at Agape, and that is everything begins and ends with you. Everything and your thoughts create. So can you create a thought atmosphere that literally lifts you, that when you wake up in the morning, you're juiced. You can't wait to do what you're doing. And think about this. Think about the atmosphere. Are you creating an atmosphere you can't wait to do in your relationship? In your secondary relationships? Are you creating a mental atmosphere about how you're going to use your money, invest your money, spend your money? Are you creating a mental atmosphere about your health, what you're going to eat, how you're going to move, what you're going to drink? Are you creating a mental atmosphere about how am I going to connect to my highest self, to that divine presence within me? Are you creating a mental atmosphere where you're in awe of life? You're in awe of life because it's so magnificent, it's so unlimited, and you have this love of life that you can't wait to live this day because you know that you're going to be the creator, and yet you know that life is going to bring you things that you cannot even begin to experience, and then you get to discern whether or not they're in alignment with where you want to go, and then if they're not in alignment, you create a new atmosphere, and you test the process, you prove the process that it works for you, and when you prove the process that it works for you, you prove it again at a bigger level and a bigger level, and you do that every day. That's what gives life juice. That's what makes life exciting. It's not about getting a new Range Rover, because the thought of a new Range Rover will end really, really fast. Here's the interesting thing about a Range Rover. They've created an image. That image is that if you are upper class and you are wealthy, a Range Rover is like the ultimate SUV to have. It's also one of the SUVs that's the most in need of a mechanic on a regular basis at a very high cost dollar amount. So is there a cost to it? Yes. Do you want to pay the price of that cost? You can say yes or no. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, it'll work for you. I choose to enjoy physicality at its finest, but I also choose to be not attached to what I have. Here's another one. I'm not attached to how things show up. Because if I was attached to how things show up, I'm denying the universe, infinite intelligence, the ability to show me things in ways I can't even imagine. So if I'm not attached, my eyes, my mind, my senses are more open to see life at a larger and larger and larger level. And isn't that what it's about, folks? It's all about greater and greater life experiences. So what are you going to think today? You're going to think those same old thoughts of yesterday and create that same old day over and over and over again? I invite you, think new thoughts and become the new you, and watch how your life changes. With that, my beautiful ones, know that you are worthy just because you are. Until tomorrow, aloha.